Sport on 4 with Volkswagen's Polo. Serious coverage.
This year, the Chicago Bulls schooled the Utah Jazz in the NBA Finals by 4-2. This is the rematch. In the red corner is Michael Jordan, the greatest player to ever bounce a ball. In the blue is Karl Malone, determined for revenge. He's already led the Jazz to the best record in the regular season, and Utah have continued to dominate in the playoffs. The question is, has Michael Jordan and Chicago Bulls' reign finally come to an end? Welcome to the NBA Finals. I'm delighted to say back live on Channel 4, and we've got ourselves another Super Series. Alongside me, John Amici, formerly of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Nice to see you again, John.
Nice to see you, Webber.
And we're in this situation here, a game one, which isn't always that important. Suddenly, it could be a big one, because Utah, let's start with them, they've been sat down for 10 days.
Yeah, they've had 10 days rest. Now, in some circumstances, this is really tough for a team, but you know, the benchmark of the Utah teams is experience and being cerebral. So I think it might be overplayed as a factor in this.
They have, of course, been saying that as well. They've been training hard, but they've still had to watch the Bulls go through their motions. And, you know, what are you going to do with yourself in that time?
It's always difficult when another team, your competitor for the finals, is playing and you're sitting at home, you're trying to be intense playing against each other. It's never the same spirit. But with so much at stake, it would be hard to believe that Utah would come out here not ready to play.
OK, so Utah had the slightly easier run in here. Chicago, well, they did it the hard way. So it was down to the decider for the Eastern Conference Finals. The question was, could Larry Bird, Reggie Miller and the rest of the Pacer team do the unthinkable and beat the Bulls at the United Center? Well, it was Reggie and co who got off to an early lead, with Dale Davis coming up big and point guard Mark Jackson finding his shooting touch.
Pippen trying to thwart Jackson as he has most of the series. Smits gives it back to Jackson, who hits the baseline J. Davis again, double team, so he gets it out to Jackson for 3.
Incredibly, the Bulls found themselves 13 points behind, and things were looking decidedly ominous for the home team. Not for the first time, it was down to their leader to get the Bulls back in the race, but he didn't have to go it alone. So often the player that promised much but didn't always deliver, it was Tony Kukoc who took the weight off of Jordan's shoulders with a huge third quarter.
Deals it out to Harper. Kukoc feeling it, and his second consecutive 3.
But of course Mike was still getting his, and through the sheer determination of his airness, Chicago pulled within 3 late in the fourth.
Can't put it down. Loose ball tipped out to Pippen. Kerr can tie it, and does.
But Indiana wouldn't lie down. Reggie Miller, constantly the thorn in the Bulls' side, kept them in it. But Chicago didn't lose their nerve as their veteran side continued to pile on the pressure on the Pacers.
Chicago leads it, 81-79.
So in spite of Bird's men's valiant efforts, Jackson's Bulls knew too much down the stretch, and Michael led his team to their 3rd successive NBA final. So a fabulous rookie year for Larry Bird, got Coach of the Year as a result of that, and they really did give the Bulls a hard test. The Bulls are an old team. Is that hurt?
They're an older team, but
older.
With that comes experience, and you know, when you've got the greatest player on the planet, and also a wizard of a coach, you really can't take too many detractions from that.
They definitely didn't want to go to Game 7. They've given themselves a few days off. Is that extra game a bigger factor than it just being one more game?
It's always a factor when you really have to battle through a series and play the full extent. But we've already said with Utah, they're worried because they've had too much time off. And so really, when it comes to finals, neither team's going to be as comfortable as they'd like to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as we've discussed already, we've said that Utah had the slightly easier route. Let's give it a full picture now. Let's see how both teams made it through the playoffs. In round 1, Utah were given their toughest test by the Houston Rockets. Hakeem and Sir Charles took the Jazz to a deciding game.
Down towards Stockton, steal. Stockton on the run. Stockton to the nose. Lay it up and in.
Round 2 saw Malone's men face the Twin Towers of San Antonio. Despite some tight games, Utah dropped only 1.
Negro, left to right. Pulls up. Ball now free. Stockton's got it. Stockton on the steal. Right side of Shannon. Cross-court Russell. Underneath. Laying up in the air. Jazz on the way to the Western Conference Finals.
In the conference finals, the Jazz were up against the form side of the playoffs, the LA Lakers. But Shaq's men disappointed, and Utah swept the Lakers 4-0.
Mailman raises. Off-balance shot. Go. He's fouled.
Foster with a jam and one, and that'll do it. And the sweep is complete.
Chicago's road to the finals started with a convincing 3-0 victory over the emerging New Jersey Nets. It looked like business as usual for the Bulls.
Basket and a foul. Michael Jordan is unconscious. Incredible.
Next up were the Charlotte Hornets. After a strong regular season, they couldn't match that form against the Bulls. Glenn Rice and MJ went at it, but there was only ever one winner.
Michael around Demas.
Mike, great big jumper right there. Bang! Bang! The world champion Chicago Bulls have eliminated the Charlotte Hornets.
In the conference finals, the Bulls faced the Indiana Pacers, coached by Larry Bird and inspired by freewheeling, pure shooting Reggie Miller.
Gets it in the middle for the win. Here's Michael with the steal, and Chicago with the lead. Mullen trying to foul. Harper shoves it back in his face. Here's a 3-on-1 break. Hello. But what Michael Jordan turned a bump in the road was anything but. It was a mountain to climb.
So that's how both teams did it. And interestingly enough, John, subsequently since then, last couple of days, Michael Jordan has pronounced the Bulls underdogs for the NBA Finals.
Well, I think he's playing games with people. Anytime that anybody says the Bulls are going to be an underdog in a series, it's very doubtful. As, again, the greatest player on the planet.
Yeah.
They've always got a good chance.
That's indeed. And in fact, Karl Malone was also reported to have responded to that by saying, yeah, right. OK, still to come, we have for you the starting lineups and then game one as we bring you those NBA Finals live. We'll be coming up after the break with all of the action, so make sure you stay with us.
Able to pass it outside. Pippen pumps back at the buzzer. No good.
Michael notched up 33 points and Karl Malone delivered his 21, but it was John Stockton who clinched the game for Utah.
John Stockton. A crucial shot in overtime.
The question is, can the dynamic duo continue in their quest to end Chicago's dynasty? How are you all doing? It is game two of the NBA Finals live through the night for you, and it is in Salt Lake City, and we had ourselves an absolute thriller in game one, and our man from inside the NBA, former Cleveland Cavalier, John Amici. We talked before game one, didn't we, John, about how, you know, we got one team, Utah, who had been very rested before it, and one team, Chicago, who came off the back of a big 7-game series to actually get there, should have been tired. Not necessarily expecting a massive game, got one.
We got a huge game. I don't think we were expecting really Utah to come out quite as slowly as they did. We thought rust might be a factor, but certainly with the magnitude of the game, we thought especially Karl Malone would have a much better starting game.
Two veteran teams, it's all about energy in these situations. Were you surprised that the old guys did it all the way through and into overtime?
Well, we discussed how Chicago probably thinks this is their last shot at another title, and Jordan probably retiring next year. So we expected them to come out with a lot of intensity. They've got nothing left to lose, so.
That's right. It was an absolute thriller. Kept us going all the way through the night. Why don't you catch up with what happened on Wednesday night? Game one at the Delta Center, and MJ was looking to steal one on the road. Both teams started slowly. John Stockton led the way for the Jazz. And Scottie Pippen tried to establish himself early on for Chicago. Then the supporting players handed over to the main attractions.
Utah holding on to the ball. Malone on a pump fake, driving in. The layup is good. Jordan will back in on the smaller Isley.
and takes full advantage of that matchup. On the outside, Pippen tries to get a pass to the inside, broken up by Morris. Here come the Jazz. Isley for Anderson, driving in for the layup.
Utah's prolific bench players continue to deliver, as did John Stockton, whose early contribution helped the home side to an 8-point lead. The Delta Center was erupting as the Jazz fans began to sense victory, but Michael and Scotty had other ideas. It was time for arguably the two best players in the NBA to take control of the ball game. Michael started with some classic Jordan, and it was the turn of his partner in crime.
Pippen on the outside for Kerr. Pippen will put it up for the tie. He's got it. Scottie Pippen drills it for three.
Jazz didn't panic. It was back to Utah's big two, Stockton and Malone.
Here's the pick and roll. Malone, the jump shot. Got it. Jordan with his team down by two. Jordan flicks a pass over to Longley, leaning in. Layup is good.
So surprisingly, it was cool hand Luke Longley who tied it for Chicago. But the Jazz had one last chance to win it.
Out to Stockton. 3 seconds left. Stockton the jumper. No good.
Stockton missed the chance of winning it in regulation time, but more than made up for it in overtime. He scored 7 of Utah's last 9 points, leaving the Bulls a mountain to climb.
Jordan gives it up. Kukoc, three-pointer. He's good. Tony Kukoc drills it.
That Kukoc 3 gave the Bulls new hope. They now had 3 seconds left to save the game.
Kukoc, long pass. Jordan able to pass it outside. Pippen, pump fake at the buzzer. No good. He misses the three. It would have tied it up. And the Jazz strike first.
So the Jazz got the first game on their home court, and John, that's what's meant to happen. You're meant to win at home. But there was that sneaking suspicion that this was the game that Chicago might be able to take. Were you surprised that when it got to overtime that they didn't just go past Utah?
No, I think Utah's an excellent team. They're very well matched. You know, despite the rust at the beginning for Utah, they're a very well matched team. So I wasn't surprised that Chicago didn't pull away. But any time that anybody else but Michael Jordan gets the last shot in the game, you know it's not really the shot that you wanted.
Right, it's not exactly right. And, you know, we mentioned there, full of superstars out there, full of all-stars. Karl Malone really didn't get going, and then suddenly, crucial 4 points and one rebound right at the end of regulation time, did it when it mattered.
Exactly. That's what the superstars are supposed to do. Even if they play below their level for an entire game, at the end, when it's crunch time, they're supposed to step up.
That's right. Well, we've got a whole bunch of marvellous individuals out there on the court in Utah and Chicago, and a couple of marvellous individuals are currently out there as well. On the floor, it is our very own commentary team. It is Iron Eagle and Mike O'Corin, and now we can find out what the word is from Ian.
Well, Webbo, Utah certainly did not play their A game in the opener, but it was enough to beat the Chicago Bulls in overtime. A confidence builder, though, Mike. I think everybody in Salt Lake City, fans, media alike, they honestly believe Utah can win this series.
No question, Iron. Utah played a good game. What they did was they kept it close in the first quarter at 17-17, and after that, they really took over. I thought their bench played well. They survived. Not a good performance from Karl Malone.
And you have to believe that Karl Malone will improve tonight here in Game 2. Karl Malone had a tremendous regular season, probably better than last season when he won the MVP award. And considering this crowd, you know he can feed off the juices of 19,900 fans.
And the thing is, they'll give him the ball back. They want their star player to play well, and he'll shoot a lot better than 9 for 25, what he had in Game 1. So look for him to play a lot better.
All right, let's talk about the Chicago Bulls. It will be very interesting to see how they respond in this situation. The last time they were down in a series, 1991, they were down 1-0 against the Lakers. They won 4 straight to win the NBA championship, but I don't know if they can call upon that kind of aggressiveness and intensity like they did back 7 years ago.
No, that won't happen. They won't win the next 4 games of this series, but they have the intangible in Michael Jordan. But Michael Jordan needs help. He's getting up there. He had a great game in Game 1, but it wasn't enough. He has to get some help. I think the guy that really needs to help him is Tony Kukoc. He played so well in the series against Indiana. Look for him to play better, at least to shoot the ball better.
Another packed house here at the Delta Center tonight, and the crowd has had a major influence in Game 1 and Game 2 coming up. We'll have all the action for you live here on Channel 4. Hope you can join us late and early in the morning, depending upon where you are. We'll talk to you a little bit later on. Webbo, John, we'll throw it back to you in the studio.
Thanks very much indeed, gentlemen. We will indeed hear from those in a few moments' time. We'll have the starting lineups, and then Game 2 will kick off. And, John, interesting point they make there. Of course, Chicago, you know, they do fall back on Michael. You mentioned that a little bit earlier on. Tony Kukoc is one name they mentioned there. Do you see them needing to have a bigger team performance than that, though?
Certainly. I think they showed it early in the game when Michael Jordan was carrying them throughout. He was hitting shots, he was making great moves, but nonetheless, Chicago couldn't pull away. In the past, when Michael Jordan has played well, the team has contributed in key areas, and then they've just pulled away with tremendous ease. Now I think they're going to need great games from Tony Kukoc, and certainly a really good game from Scottie Pippen.
Kukoc is an interesting character. I think I've seen three of his best ever games during the course of this season when he's actually has stepped up, started, things like this. He should be ready to come through and shine now, shouldn't he?
Yeah, he has the ability to be a tremendous force on any team. He could start on almost any team in the NBA. He just has a reputation, I think, for sometimes not stepping up, similar to Scottie Pippen, I think, in deference to Michael Jordan.
Yeah, indeed. But as they say, it's all about Mike. And prior to the finals, NBC's Ahmad Rashad caught up with Michael Jordan to relive last year's finals and that memorable 5th NBA championship.
Recurring theme seems like every championship series. Game 1, last shot, in your hands again.
Well, I mean, that's where all the happenings are, is in you know, the closing minutes or closing seconds of the game. As a leader, you want to be there for your team. And you've done it so many times that from an emotional standpoint, from a confidence standpoint, you know what to do, and you know how to make it happen. And when they give me that ball, I'm taking the weight of the city of Chicago as well as my teammates and the organization to make something happen and to win the game.
In Game 5 of the series, Michael also carried the weight of an illness, leaving him bedridden until minutes before the match. It was one of the NBA's most incredible performances.
I was amazed that I got through the game. I was amazed that I had that much impact on the game. In terms of the way I felt the night before and up to the game and even during the game, I didn't think I was going to succeed. You know, I think the motivation was that I've always been there for my team. As long as I'm able to walk and run and shoot, I've always been there. Sick, you know, it didn't matter. You know, I didn't want the team to feel that I let them down. I possibly could have died, but going into that, I felt like I was living up to my end of the bargain, you know, in supporting my team and leading my team. And to do that and be successful and win a game, it's gratifying that you have pushed yourself to past the point that you didn't even think you can get past, and to the success of everyone who, you know, have supported you and had prayers for you and faith that you get through that. It is very gratifying to go through that. And would I do it again? If I knew the end result would be the same, I would love to go through it, but it was very tough for me to go through that, and I'm very happy that it came out on a good note.
Michael picked up the MVP award for last year's finals. That was not only due to his points total, but also his ability to set up his teammates to hit vital shots, like this one for Steve Kerr in Game 6.
Well, I'm telling Steve that John Stockton was gambling and just running all over the place. And I'm pretty sure after what happened in Game 1, and it was a very similar play, where if I get in an isolated situation, no way are they going to let me isolate against Brian Russell. This time it was very similar, and I knew Stockton would take the bait of coming over and double teaming. And I told Steve the time out before, don't be shocked if I find you open, you can hit you have an opportunity to shoot the shot. And as soon as it happened, I saw Stockton coming, which made things real easy to get the ball over to Steve, and it was up to Steve. Steve practiced that shot many days, and it was about his confidence that he could make it.
You have an insatiable desire or need to win championships. You've won 5. If you win 6, is that enough? Or do you need 7, 8? Or as long as you're playing, the goal is to win the championship?
Sure. As long as I'm playing, the goal is to win the championship. Now, you know, a lot has to be said and done, you know, to see if everybody's still playing. You know, but as long as I'm playing, the ultimate result is to a championship, you know. And I feel great privilege and proud when coaches say, well, you know, no one else is going to win until Michael leaves the game. True. You know, that's the way I believe it. You know, as long as I'm still playing, you guys still got to come through Chicago. You know, I don't care how good you are and how inspired your coach may make you. You know, you still got to come and take this away from us. You know, and it's not that easy.
So Mike believes he can do it. Do Utah? You can find out about Game 2 when we come back after the break. You'll see the starting lineups, and then we've got the second game for you live. See you in a moment's time. It's Game 2 of a 7-game series in Salt Lake City. Utah are the home team, which means Chicago now have 3 games after this one. Chicago are going to want this one. It's time to see the starting lineups now. Let's go to our commentators, Ian and Mike.
All right, thank you very much, Mark. The Delta Center is as loud as it could possibly be. 19,900 plus fans on their feet as they await the starting lineups from the Utah Jazz. The two-time defending Western Conference champions, as we discussed earlier. Mike, a lot of confidence. This team honestly believes that they will be the club to knock off the team of the 90s, the Chicago Bulls.
And that's why Game 1 was so important for Utah. If they lost that game, Ian, I really think they'd go back on their heels a little bit. But the momentum of Game 1, I think, will carry out here to Game 2, and they will play even a lot better. Their rust is off. They got Game 1 out of the way. They got a victory. Good teams win when they don't play that well. So Utah, I consider, a very, very good team.
And, of course, in that starting lineup, the mailman, Karl Malone, coming off a subpar effort in Game 1. Brian Russell, a tremendous performance in the opener. He'll be joined up front by Greg Foster, manning the middle. In the backcourt for the Jazz, 11-time All-Star John Stockton, and he stepped forward in overtime to help lead Utah to victory. Jeff Hornacek is the other guard, 2 for 10 shooting in Game 1, but he has been bothered by an Achilles problem. And Jerry Sloan, the consummate professional, had his number retired as a member of the Chicago Bulls, now trying to beat his former team and win his first ever championship as a head coach. The Delta Center, filled to capacity tonight.
Ryan, I had a chance to talk to Jerry Sloan before the game. We came in together into the Delta Center, and I'll tell you what, you didn't know if he was going to the second game of the NBA Finals or he's going to have a picnic. He's calm. I think his players will relate to that.
Utah came up with a victory in Game 1, 88-85. Jazz taking advantage of Chicago turnovers, and John Stockton, 24 points on 9 of 12 shooting. He scored 7 points in overtime. The starting lineup for the Chicago Bulls, of course, Michael Jordan and Ron Harper at the guard positions. Up front, Scottie Pippen, Tony Kukoc, and Luke Longley. Once again, Dennis Rodman will come off the bench. Has that right thumb injury. It's either a sprain or ligament damage, depending upon who you talk to. The team trainer for the Bulls says it's probably a sprain. Rodman, though, will tell you he feels there's ligament damage. Michael Jordan, outstanding first half, but did not come through in the second half in Game 1. Stockton did. These fans already in a frenzy, anticipating the tip-off.
There is no one sitting down here in the Delta Center as the ball is getting ready to go up.
The officials, Joe Crawford, Dan Crawford, Bill Oates, and Utah controls the tap, leading at 1-0, trying to put the Bulls in a 2-0 hole. The jump shot from Malone is off the mark. And Malone, who did not take it to the rim that often in Game 1, electing to stay on the outside in Game 2.
And again, Luke Longley guarding Malone, just stepped back off him, challenged him to shoot that jump shot.
Ron Harper passes out of the double team. Pippen with 9 to shoot. Had the ball stripped away by Russell. And knocked away once again. Hornacek has it for Utah. The Jazz on the move with Stockton slicing down the lane. High off the window for the layup.
And that's 2 points off a turnover by Chicago, something that affected the Bulls in Game 1, the turnovers, and then the scoring the other way. Although that was a tough shot by Stockton, high off the glass.
John Stockton gets into the scoring column to start play. Jordan on a turnaround. Michael, you noticed in the pregame warm-ups that Jordan came out very focused in your mind.
Yeah, he was focused. He was talking to his teammates, too. He never dunks in warm-ups. He was dunking the ball with twirls and everything else. Looked like he's ready to go.
The backdoor cut. And Hornacek cannot convert. We're tied at 2. Pippen gets it across quickly, turning the corner. Scottie Pippen off the window.
Yes. Joey Crawford, the official down there, as Pippen went to the rim. Stockton tried to take a charge defensively, got knocked down, but no call.
Bulls got off to a pretty good start in Game 1, only to see Utah come from behind and tie the game after 1 quarter of play. Down low, Karl Malone lays it in.
See, that's Karl Malone, who set a screen and then turns to the basketball. He's wide open, goes with the jump hook over Longley.
And we're all tied up once again. Harper, limited playing time in the opener. There's the cut by Kukoc. Lost it for a moment, got it back. Kukoc stripped away. And the Jazz break out. Russell will slow it down, get it into the hands of Stockton. He'll back it out.
Kukoc needs to be stronger with the basketball. He can't loft it like that because of the quick hands of the Jazz. That's what they'll do. They'll knock it off him.
The lob upstairs. Malone couldn't catch it cleanly. And Utah turns it over for the second time. Kukoc, the penetration. Harper. Cross court for Pippen. Thought about it for three. Driving to the rim, comes up short. Pippen was looking for a foul. Jordan, the long rebound. Scoop to the hoop. Michael Jordan.
Boy, he has those hands. He showed the basketball to the defense and took it strong and lofted up and in.
Bulls go in front by 2, just underway in Game 2 of the 1998 NBA Finals. Live coverage here on Channel 4. Brian Russell gives it up for Foster. They'll work the perimeter. Stockton down low. Malone with 4 to shoot. Forced to go to the outside. Stockton a 3.
So much attention given to Karl Malone inside. Stockton wide open because Harper left, and Stockton burns him for the 3.
Jazz lead by 1. Harper working his way to the interior off a double team. Kukoc, the baseline jumper.
Tell you what, a different pace tonight than the other night. Both teams very sharp out here on both ends of the floor.
A low-scoring Game 1, 88-85, uncharacteristic for an overtime game. Bulls lead at 8-7. 8:24 to play in the opening quarter. Pick and roll, Malone from Stockton. He couldn't finish.
He needs to make that shot. Stockton set him up nicely.
Pippen gliding down the lane. It rims out, and it's rebounded by Foster.
Well, I tell you what, the officials letting it go.
Stockton directing traffic. Russell gets it down low. Malone driving in for the dunk, but a foul called on the floor as Karl Malone made his move around Luke Longley. That will be the first personal on the big Australian center.
And that's the key right there, on the floor, as Dennis Rodman trying to warm up back behind the locker room.
Rodman coming off the bench for Phil Jackson's team. Russell all alone for 3.
Jazz did not hit a three-pointer in Game 1. They have already hit 2.
Brian Russell gives Utah a 10-8 lead. Jordan sizing up Hornacek, and the foul is called. Jeff Hornacek trying to defend Michael Jordan. Hornacek not the quickest player to begin with, and now he's dealing with a sore Achilles tendon.
And you know what, Ian? He has to give out so much defensively against Michael Jordan. That is taking away from his offense.
Dennis Rodman has checked in the game. Keep in mind, he did not play until the second quarter in Game 1. Phil Jackson electing to go to Rodman early. Jordan off the mark. Long rebound to Pippen. Pippen switching hands in midair, counted in a foul.
Ian, Pippen had the three-pointer. And remember when Michael Jordan and Pippen had some words in late in Game 1? I think Jordan in that game told him to do this. Go to the basket. Don't rely on that outside shot. Make things happen the other way. Here he gets the bucket, fouled by Foster, now gets a free throw.
The other theory here in Salt Lake City has been that Jordan had the hot hand. He had hit 2 shots in a row and wanted the ball again. Instead, Pippen elected for the three-point shot. He hit it, but Jordan was hot at the time. 11-10. Bulls have regained the lead. Drive down the lane. Hornacek didn't get the call. He was upset. And then a loose ball foul after the Bulls came up with a rebound.
Hornacek flipped it up. When you flip it up like that, you're not going to get the attention of the official. You have to go strong. Jeff Hornacek is a strong player. He needs to go in there, get the contact, throw the ball up, but not flip it. You don't get the attention of the official. Rodman and Scottie Pippen knocked it out, so Utah gets the ball back.
Jazz in the half-court set. And even 7 minutes to play in the first. Hornacek makes his move. Stumbled a bit. Worked his way in for the layup and a foul. Chance for a three-point play, Jeff Hornacek. A timeout call. 6:55 left in the first. The Jazz lead it, 12-11. You're watching the NBA on Channel 4. We'll return in a moment.
Utah and Chicago, early doors in this game, and John Amici, as tight as game one. You know, no one's getting out there, are they? You often see it in a game. Someone might start an early run, but it's not happening in this series.
Well, basketball is a game of runs, and with two evenly matched teams like these are, you know, you expect to see a couple of points either way, but at this stage, early in the game, I think Utah's just happy that they've got off to a much better beginning than last game.
Never got a chance to ask you earlier on. Let me ask you now. Have you got a kind of leaning in one direction in this particular game? I mean, is it Utah on a roll?
I don't think Utah's on a roll. There's kind of a justice feeling towards somebody else than Chicago winning. So, you know, I'd like to see a different face on the podium, I think.
Oh, that's John's code for saying he thinks Chicago should be losing this one. I'm not totally convinced we're going to be doing it that way around. John Stockton started nicely.
John Stockton's a steady player. He never really does the exciting plays that get on the highlight films, but he always seems to find a way to get those layups in through traffic and hits the big threes when it counts, and always has been a great passer, one of the best in the league.
And a slight difference from the previous game, Dennis Rodman in very early.
Yeah, I think Phil Jackson wants to see if he can try a different combination early on and see if that helps him get out. They did get out to a good start last game, but I think he thinks that Utah will be better prepared for them this time.
Okay, John, thanks for now. It's classic nip and tuck stuff, just like game one. Let's go back to Iron and Mike.
All right, gentlemen, Jeff Hornacek is at the free throw line, a chance to complete a three-point play. You see his numbers from game one, just 2 of 10 shooting, and that's not Jeff Hornacek, usually a rather high percentage shooter for a player that settles for outside shots. He's got that range.
He certainly does, Ian. Three-point range, he'll hit a shot very consistently from out there. But I think the wear and tear on his body, plus the fact that he's guarding Jordan, has really taken away from his offense.
Hornacek, 34 years old, now in his 12th year of the NBA. Jazz lead it by 2. Kukoc for the tie. Pippen offensive rebound, and the Bulls reset with Harper out front.
So they go right back into their triangle offense. And now Jordan comes up from the weak side.
Jordan in a matchup with Hornacek. Shot clock at 10. Kukoc looking to establish Jordan. Foster pinches over. Jordan on a fadeaway jump. And the loose ball is kicked up by Stockton.
Not only is Jordan going against Hornacek, but Greg Foster has sort of went away from Kukoc to try to double team and help out Hornacek on D.
Coming up on the midway point of the first quarter, 6 minutes to play. 2-point Utah lead. Russell. He strokes it over Kukoc. Malone up high for the rebound, and a new shot clock for the Jazz to work with.
See Malone hustle for the rebound. Look who they give the ball to, Karl Malone.
Outside Stockton. And Stockton will back it out with 12 seconds left on the timer. There's the lob. Malone, a couple of pumps, and he draws the foul, using his muscle on the inside.
Scottie Pippen down there, Ian, got the contact and got the foul. So there's the lob pass inside. Watch Malone use his body here. He fakes, gets everybody up, Pippen included, and gets the lob in there and uses his body well to draw the foul. Now he shoots 2 free throws.
So Malone has opened up 1 of 3 from the field, his first trip to the free throw line. Despite the fact that he didn't shoot the ball well, he actually finished with pretty good numbers. As Malone misses on that first attempt.
He missed it long.
In game 1, 21 points, 14 rebounds for the mailman, but only 9 of 25 from the field.
And the only thing is, the game would have been magnified more for Malone if the Jazz had lost.
Yeah, good point.
But since they've won, it's really that Malone had a bad game, but it doesn't matter. He hit 4 points late in the game to help them.
Stockton now on the bench. He's replaced by Howard Isley. Jazz lead it by 3. Jordan with a quick jump shot.
Very rarely will you ever see Michael Jordan wide open. There was a screen that came around, and Jordan was there, and that's like an easy layup for him.
6 points for Jordan. And Utah in front, 14-13. Russell will put it on the floor. He's watched by Kukoc. There's Malone. Facing Rodman, the jump shot, no good. Karl Malone continues to settle for the outside shot. Almost searching for that range.
And the defense is helping him take that shot, Ian. They back off him when he has the basketball.
Pippen thought about it for three. Driving in. Big slam. Scottie Pippen.
See, he is not hesitating at all. He will not take that first jumper that represents itself. What he's doing is taking that ball to the rim.
Chicago has regained the lead, 15-14. Malone, one-on-one with Rodman. And he could not make the pass to Howard Isley.
He got up in the air. No one was open, so he had to throw it somewhere, whereas if he comes down without making a pass, it's an automatic traveling violation.
That's the second turnover on the Utah Jazz. Bulls in front by one. 4:20 left in the first. Pippen now guarded by Chris Morris, who just checked into the game.
Boy, Pippen has a good step on iron. He is sharp today.
Rodman tried the bounce pass. It's a kickball called on Malone. So Chicago will get a new shot clock anytime the officials decide that the ball came off the foot of a defender. That's called a kickball and a fresh 24. Pippen finding an opening. No call made as three players spilled to the floor, and it came off Chicago out of bounds.
Kukoc saying he got fouled, yelling at referee Danny Crawford, but to no avail.
Isley wasting little time. Russell the pull-up stroke off the glass.
Oh, that's a beautiful shot. Off transition. The Bulls arguing to the officials, Ian. Jazz got the ball right up the court, got a good look.
5 points for Brian Russell. And Utah leads by one. Kukoc, gorgeous spin to the rim.
What Chicago is doing offensively, they're using their dribble to create shots. Jordan has done it. Pippen has certainly done it. Now Kukoc has tried it there.
And back and forth we go here in the first quarter. In game one, they were tied at 17 after one. This has been a high-scoring first quarter compared to that. Russell tried a wild feed going behind the back, out of bounds, ill-advised.
Yes, similar to what happened to Karl Malone. He went up in the air and had nowhere to go.
And a timeout has been called. Bulls 17, Jazz 16, 3:21 left in the first quarter. As we send it back to the studio, Mark and John.
So there you go. It's a 1-point lead for the Travelers. That is the Chicago Bulls. And John, the interesting thing is we talked a lot in that game one about the fatigue factor. Just to reiterate, Utah had a 10-day break because they did so well in their run-in. Chicago had to go all the way. Here they are now after another game just 2 days down the line. They look sharper.
Yeah, that's the strange thing. For the team that's not had the rest, they look like they're executing better, and they look sharper, and they look like they have more energy than the Utah team right now.
What's it like being on the road in those situations? I mean, is it possible to get the kind of physical and mental rest that you need?
Well, the good thing about being in the NBA is that they take care of you.
Yes.
You know, the hotels are top quality. You really get treated with the greatest of respect. But nonetheless, anytime you're not in your own bed, it's a different experience. But certainly one that Chicago should be used to.
What do you think has kind of got them energised this time around? Is it the fact that perhaps they were that close in game one? Do you think that was a real onus for them?
Yeah, I think they think that game one was an opportunity that they let slip by. And because of that, they might be treating this game a little bit more like another game one, another one that's a chance for them to steal and then go home and win it outright in Chicago, perhaps.
Flip side of the same coin, Jerry Sloan had 10 days to prepare the Utah Jazz to tell them, you're a better team than they are, go out there and show them it, and they just about did it. Do you think that might be a slightly negative thing, the fact that it was that close?
Yeah, I think it's tough for them, for Utah, even though they can take some solace for the fact that their main guy didn't really perform and they still won. They have to see that it was a real struggle in a game that should have been an emotional high for them, and yet they really struggled. So they realize that Chicago's still a team to be reckoned with.
Yes, I think they've noticed that already in this game. And Scottie Pippen started particularly well, hasn't he? Because, I mean, he's been driving those lanes.
Yeah, Scottie's playing a different type of game to the one he played last time. He's driving to the hole, he's being assertive, and he's really making an impact. And
I know Mike said back there as well that they suspect that might have been what Jordan said to him. He's like, go at them. Let them know that you're there, and he's certainly going to be... I mean, he'll need to be a factor. He's picked up a couple of fouls, though.
Yeah, he'll have to be careful with that because they need him to play the entire game. They need him to be available at crunch time as well. But if he continues to play with this type of intensity, Chicago's got a really good chance this game.
It's very true, and I'll be interested to find out for you two guys, Ian and Mike, when you're that close to them, obviously you can smell their socks from where you're sitting. Do you suspect that Chicago do look that little bit sharper than the home team?
Yeah, I think so far they have looked a bit sharper. Maybe they have come out focused knowing that game one was within their grasp. They had a chance to win that game, and I think Michael Jordan expected to win that game in overtime. Of course, you can always check in with the NBA Finals at NBA.com. Tremendous graphics and information, stats, you name it, you can get it at www.nba.com. Your thoughts on that, Mike, as the Bulls open up rather strong here in the first quarter?
Very sharp. I think what they're doing, Ian, is they're defending what's theirs. They're the champions, and they want to come out and play like champions.
Pippen was pushed, and the foul has been called. Chris Morris.
Chris Morris pushed off on Pippen down there and got the foul. Pippen went for the pass. If he threw that up, would have got some shots from the line.
Harper for Rodman. Phil Jackson not happy with Rodman's performance in the opener. Jordan on a turnaround. He stroked it over Hornacek.
See, they're playing that one-on-one with Jordan. Hornacek not getting much help on that possession. Jordan just shoots over the top of him.
8 points for Michael Jordan on 4 of 6 shooting. Bulls with a 3-point lead. Malone slams it down.
Pippen late for the help because the execution was so good. A bounce pass by Isley. Malone takes it strong to the rim and dunks it.
High percentage shot for Karl Malone, who now has 5 points. A balanced scoring effort thus far, as a 20-second timeout has been called by Phil Jackson and the Bulls.
And Ian, the reason why Jackson called that 20-second timeout, that's a defensive timeout. He was not happy with the execution defensively against the screen and roll as we watch Pippen make a pass over to Ron Harper. See, it's one-on-one. Hornacek's all by himself. Jordan just shoots over him there. Then after that play, the 20-second timeout. Watch Malone, so quick, right to the rim. The defense late in Pippen, and that's when Jackson calls the 20-second timeout to talk about his defensive execution against this play right here.
And that is Malone at his best, because when he comes down the lane like a freight train, who's going to stop it?
No, you go up there and you think you're going to stop it, but he just dunks it over you, makes a poster of you. And when he does plays like that, he has 5 points, 1 rebound, shooting 2 of 5. The 2 layups or a dunk, and then the 3 misses from the perimeter. So he needs to take it to the rim. You get people in foul trouble that way also.
And you hate that if you're the defensive player. You see yourself in a poster the next year of a guy dunking on you.
Yeah,
it's very embarrassing.
Yeah, it is. I've been there.
I know. Jordan off the mark from deep. And Pippen controls it. Harper working his way in. Couldn't get it to go off the glass, and Morris comes out of the pack with the basketball. The Jazz trailing by 1 and even 2 minutes left in the first.
Pippen on Malone right now. 3-second violation on Karl Malone.
And Malone disagreeing with the call.
Tell you what, he would only get that call against Chicago. I mean, the whole league is looking right now and saying, hey, he's been in there when we play him too.
Ron Harper fires it up for 3. Isley, the Bull, scurrying up the floor. The Bulls trying to get back defensively. Morris out on the perimeter. Malone couldn't handle the pass. Off his fingers, out of bounds.
See, the crowd booing because Rodman was really pushing Malone before the ball came in. He was tangled up with him, used a lot of energy against him, and then the pass comes in, he doesn't handle it.
So Utah turns it over for the 5th time.
Boy, what a beautiful drive by Tony Kukoc. Going right, not left. Russell tried to cut off the left hand, so Kukoc goes right, gets the easy layup.
21-18, Bulls. Isley. Malone will take the jumper and connects.
It's just a matter of time. A sigh of relief from the Delta crowd here that Karl Malone hits a perimeter jump shot.
7 points for the mailman. Under a minute left in the first. Bulls lead by 1. Harper inside for Kukoc. Tony Kukoc, the flip with the left hand.
Yeah, we said it before, Ian. Tony Kukoc needs to step up. He's certainly doing it now at 8.
And the Bulls extend their lead to 3. Isley outside. Finds the cutter, Malone, and he blew the layup.
The reason why he blew the layup, he wanted more contact to try to get to the foul line, but then he misses the layup.
Kukoc backs it out. There's a 9-second difference, shot clock, the game clock, and a foul called as Pippen tried the fadeaway. Chris Morris was there defensively. And Morris picks it up.
It's only the first foul in the last 2 minutes, so it should be a side out. And in this respect, with 23.6 seconds left, Chicago will hold for one.
Karl Malone, and you mentioned it, that sigh of relief hitting that jump shot. Malone and Rodman really going at it.
Yeah, see there, lost his concentration, leaned in, thinking there would be some contact. It just wasn't there, so he blows the layup.
Substitution, Judd Bushler has checked into the game for Chicago.
You got Kerr, Kukoc, Bushler, and Michael Jordan. See, Jordan will hold it out front iron, and the Bulls will hold for one shot because it's the end of the quarter. But then he has the shooters that I just mentioned, Kerr, Bushler, and Kukoc. So if there's a double team, look for one of those guys to be open for a long-range shot.
Jordan driving in on Hornacek. Jordan, the pull-up jump. Came off of Rodman, out of bounds, and Utah will have some time to work with. 4.6 remaining in the first. Isley hurrying into the offense, and the Bulls had one to give as Steve Kerr fouls Isley just as he crossed the half-court line with 1.5 seconds left.
And this game, this first quarter has been played so cleanly, not a lot of fouls. So the foul to give there by Chicago, they use it well.
Morris gets it in. Isley will get a shot off. High arcing delivery, no. And that is the end of the first quarter here at the Delta Center. Game 2 of the 1998 NBA Finals. Utah leading the best-of-7 series 1-9. We have completed 12 minutes of action, and the Bulls in front of the Jazz, 23-20. Our coverage will continue with second quarter action when we come back. You're watching the NBA on Channel 4.
In Salt Lake City, 23-20, the Travelers lead. That is the Chicago Bulls over the Utah Jazz. And John Amici, an interesting first quarter there because different guys doing different things. And but when you get down to it, you know, the big players always matter. Karl Malone's tried to shoot himself back into form in this one. Didn't quite have it in the first game. More at it this time.
Certainly, the jump shot's always been a strong part of Karl Malone's game, and it's, as they said, Ian said, it's going to be a question of time before he starts hitting that regularly. The missed layup, on the other hand, that's something you don't expect to see from Karl Malone, a man who constantly shoots 50 and above %. And
the deal is with him is that, especially that on that layup, it's power. He likes to physically impose himself on a team. That's a classic opportunity to do so. We saw Dennis Rodman on in there, and it was interesting in the last series. Dennis Rodman had a terrific series against him in Utah. Really managed to get him wound up. He hasn't quite got near him yet, though, has he?
Certainly not, no. I think Dennis has shown a lot less emotion in this series so far. I'm sure the injury's something to do with it, but he certainly doesn't seem to be the same type of player that we saw in the series last year.
But he has got that ability to get right inside Malone's mind. Do you think if he warms up that Karl could again find himself struggling tonight?
I think it's just the same. Again, with offensive players, you expect them to eventually get on track. Even with Dennis Rodman, you expect him to become the Dennis Rodman that we know and sometimes hate.
And get going there again. Okay, John, thanks very much for now. We're going to go back to the second quarter action, and Ian and Mike.
All right, thank you, Webbo and John. Tony Kukoc opens up the second quarter, missing on a three-point attempt. Fight for the rebound, and Russell has it. Quickly up the floor. Russell waiting for his teammates to join him. And Malone retrieves the basketball and resets for Isley.
Both did a great job getting back in defensive transition, so Utah has to go to 5-on-5.
Shandon Anderson, his first action tonight. Just abusing Judd Bushler.
It's very simple. If Bushler is guarding Anderson, it's a post-up situation where Shandon Anderson will go down low and just go one-on-one against Bushler. It's no contest so far.
And now it's a one-point game. Rodman matched up with Malone. Kerr gets the pick set by Rodman. Isley sticks with him. Kukoc dumps it down low. Pippen, the hook shot.
I'll tell you who's getting really beaten defensively. Kukoc has done it to Russell, and that time Pippen against Russell. So Russell defensively is not a factor.
Just over a minute gone by here in the second quarter. Game 2 of the 1998 NBA Finals, live from Salt Lake City. The Delta Center sold out once again. Shandon Anderson on a drive to the basket, and he's fouled. He will be shooting because Judd Bushler is called for the personal once again in the act. Coming up, Game 3, it'll be Utah and Chicago. That will be from the United Center just a couple of days from now.
And it's classic offense by Anderson. The first time he gets the ball, he takes it to the rim. Then what does he do the second time around? He gets Bushler out on the floor. He fakes the jump shot, and then takes it again, and Buechler fouled, and that's a quick minute and 21 seconds for Jud Buechler. He cannot handle Anderson. Jackson knows it, gets him out of the game.
You know, Mark and John made a point earlier, Mike, that Dennis Rodman has looked a bit listless, and I agree 100%. We haven't really seen the Rodman that we're used to, and that might change as the series goes on. I don't know if the injury is affecting him or what, or maybe the trip to Las Vegas is affecting him. We'll talk more about that.
And I think number 32 in white has something to do with it, too. Karl Malone doesn't take crap from him.
Tony Kukoc leaning in for the layup.
Well, he did a nice job of extending with the left hand, and I'll tell you what, the Bulls are getting the help from Michael Jordan right now because Pippen and Kukoc playing great.
Kukoc with 10 points to lead all scorers. They'll try Anderson again, and a foul called on the floor, so there will not be shots here. Shannon Anderson is hacked. Tony Kukoc, he's a creative offensive player.
Watch how he extends to the rim. Right there, makes the layup underneath Chris Morris. That's a beautiful play.
That is a tough shot, and you can even respect it all that much more when you see it in slow motion. Shandon Anderson, he has really stood out here in the second quarter. Aggressive, taking it to the basket time and time again.
Yeah, Scott Burrell on him, Ian, was aggressive with it, but he spun off him, and a beautiful pass inside. He gets the layup.
Burrell in the game for Buechler. Kukoc using the size advantage on Morris. And it's rebounded by Russell.
He's doing so well going to the rim. That time he fades away, comes up short.
The Bulls once again, transition defense. They get back in time as Utah could not get the fast break in order. Bulls lead by 1. Antoine Carr now in the game. Carr for the lead. The flip is good.
Playing very, very good. That time the big dog, as the crowd goes, big dog. Takes it to the basket high off the glass.
The original big dog, Glenn Robinson, also nicknamed the big dog, but Carr's been in the league for a very long time, 14 years. And a timeout. 9:05 left, first half. The Jazz 28, the Bulls 27. We'll come back with more from the Delta Center in Salt Lake City. This is the NBA on Channel 4.
Game in the NBA Finals, and we have a 1-point lead now for the home team. And John Amici, flipping to the Bulls quickly. Tony Kukoc, we all talked about him at the start, and Mike mentioned he needed to step up. 10 points already for him, doing really well.
He certainly has played very well so far in this game, and the Bulls have really gone to him, which is something they didn't do in the last game. He was kind of expected to chip in very effectively when he had a chance. This time they've gone to him consciously, and he's produced. No one's ever doubted Tony Kukoc's ability. It's always kind of been in his mindset, hasn't it? You know, Phil Jackson not necessarily treating him as an automatic starter where he wants to be, not treated as an automatic power forward, like charging the basket, stepping outside, taking threes. Much more his kind of game, this, isn't it? Certainly. He's one of those guys that when he's required to step up and when he's given an opportunity, lots of them especially, he can produce big numbers. That's right. Well, Tony Kukoc has been expected to come into this game and do the honours. He's got Michael Jordan alongside him, of course, will help. Back to the floor with Ian and Mike. And Michael Jordan has returned to the floor, gentlemen, with his team now down by 1. 28-27. Utah with the lead. 9 minutes left in the second quarter. Longley has come back in as well. Scottie Pippen driving it to the basket for the Slammer.
Boy, excellent ball movement. Everyone touched it for the Bulls. Pippen goes back door with the defense supplying the pressure out front. He goes right behind it, the pass waiting for him.
Pippen now with 11 points. He's the high man for the Bulls. Morris will put it on the floor with 10 to shoot. Carr sets the high screen. There's the roll. Extra feed, Isley the jumper. And Jordan crashing the boards for the defensive rebound.
See, the Jazz, if they get an open shot like that, you have to nail it because the Bulls defense is on fire tonight. You get an open one, you need to hit it.
Pippen will back in on Russell. Off the double team. Finds the open man underneath the basket. It's Luke Longley.
And the reason why that play made it, because the pass by Pippen was so high, Luke Longley got it, kept it high, and just lays it in where the defense can't strip at it.
Longley has his first basket of the evening. 31-28, Bulls. Isley turning the corner. Howard Isley kicking it into a higher gear for the layup.
Yeah, Luke Longley so slow with the feet. Isley able to get around him on the baseline, just lays it up.
Isley with his first deuce. Jordan with Morris. Pippen. And a foul has been called. Chris Morris trying to defend his airness.
Yeah, off the ball line, he gave a push right in front of the official. That drew the attention. Stockton back in now.
5 points for John Stockton in just 6 minutes of action. Stockton playing in yet another playoff game. Nobody has played in more playoff games than John Stockton and has won an NBA championship. He feels that it's his time to get that ring. Scott Burrell, a three-pointer rims in.
That's all because of Michael Jordan. Drew the double team. Burrell wide open. Calmly sinks it.
34-30. Bulls. Coming up on 7 minutes to play in the second quarter. Antoine Carr has it come in and out. Pippen. Jordan lines it up. A three-pointer. And Stockton the rebound. Stockton picked up by Kerr. Morris with Burrell. Entry feed Carr. 10 to shoot. Extra pass for Morris. It rims out.
He just blew the layup, didn't concentrate on it. And you have to take full advantage of plays like that.
Jordan. The cutter, Luke Longley, and Michael Jordan found him in stride. A timeout. Utah takes the timeout. 6:31 remaining, first half. The Bulls lead by 6.
Can't take your eyes off of it because now we've got a Chicago lead of 6 points. And John Amici, obviously, I mean, you know, you've been inside this game. You've played this stuff. You can talk about tactics, you can talk about players being changed and all that kind of thing, but what you're looking at here is a kind of fundamental difference. You're looking at a Bulls team that just looks that snappier.
They do. They look a lot more focused than Utah, which is surprising given the circumstances. Utah really can't afford to lose a game here. With 3 games to go in Chicago after this game, if they lose a game here, it could be over. It's very dangerous. Not many teams where you say it's possible to lose 3 in a row away from home, but with Chicago, it's very possible.
It's working at both ends of the court for them as well, isn't it? I mean, you saw a layup being missed there because, like, you know, they're given no time under the hoop, and then you see Jordan pass out to Longley to dunk. I mean, it's just one gear up again, isn't it?
You've seen some fundamental differences. There's a lot of differences. You've seen a missed layup, an easy layup by Karl Malone, and then another one by Morris. And then on the other side, you're seeing all the bit players for Chicago, Longley especially, chipping in and making vital but simple shots.
A lot of people look at this and think it's a technical game, but again, as a player, I mean, I'm sure you know, is that of course you have to learn loads of technique, loads of plays, loads of positional things. But again, if you can get the energy right, not a lot of that really matters, does it?
Yeah, in basketball, there's an awful lot that can be said for just playing with a high level of intensity. There are other things, skill-wise and execution-wise, that practice will help. But if you play with energy, that takes care of a lot of things.
Well, that's what we're seeing at the moment from the Chicago Bulls, but no doubt the home team will get right back into it. Let's go back to the floor and Ian and Mike.
All right, thank you, Mark and John. If you like to look at stats and try to analyze them, the Bulls have lost 4 straight on the road in the postseason as Utah gets the bucket and the foul. Karl Malone hacked by Luke Longley. And Malone is going to the free throw line, a chance for 3.
And watch how quick this happens. He gets the ball, just goes right to the rim. Longley slow at the feet again, hacks, but the ball goes in. Now 1 free throw for Karl Malone. That's aggressiveness, Ian.
And to finish my point, 4 straight road losses for the Bulls. That just doesn't happen.
No. I mean, they won 72 games one year, Ian. I mean, 4 losses in a row on the road. That's almost impossible.
They have not lost 5 in a row on the road since 1990. So if you believe in trends, Chicago would win this basketball game. Right now they lead it 36-33. Longley gathers in. He was tripped up. Ostertag was defending him. He may have tripped up, but low on John Stockton. And the foul called on the Utah point guard.
That wasn't much. As you see, I love that camera for Malone, who goes so strong to the hoop and lays it up and in.
Second team foul on Utah. Stockton picks up his first. Coming up on 6 minutes left, first half. Jumper doesn't go for Scott Burrell, and Ostertag cleans the glass for the rebound.
Ostertag in and gives some size to Luke Longley.
Stockton the drive. Stockton gives up the dribble. Isley and Stockton once again playing in the backcourt together. Jerry Sloan deciding to go with that combination. Shot clock is down to 3. Isley will have to hurry. A jumper comes up short, and Jordan was there. Bulls now slow it down. Settle into the half court. Kukoc called for traveling. He took too many steps before he put the ball on the floor for the dribble.
Picky call right there. That wasn't too obvious. Phil Jackson doesn't like it. Of course, Kukoc doesn't like it. And there's Hornacek on the bench getting a rest.
4 turnovers now on the Bulls. 36-33, Chicago. Stockton fires it inside. Isley gets it to Ostertag for the layup.
It was a backdoor play by Isley. He handled the pass. He drew the defense and drops it off to Ostertag, who might have got fouled hitting that shot.
The Chicago lead is down to 1. Their largest lead has been 6. Kerr off the Jordan screen. Kukoc dumps it inside for Jordan. That is a wise move by Tony Kukoc. Everybody in the building thought Kukoc would take the 3.
And they looked up to see if the shot was coming, but he gets it down in low because Jordan has the big height advantage over John Stockton.
And Jordan is now in double figures with 10. Stockton from Malone. Turns on Longley. Fadeaway jump. Following his own shot. Malone gets the easy 2.
I'll tell you what, if you're not shooting the ball well, when you shoot the ball, you're the first one to know where it might go. Malone just followed it up and made a layup.
He is 5 of 10 from the field. 12 points for the mailman. Chicago up by a 1. Harper. That's Burrell who had it blocked. Isley will come out with the ball. The bounce. Anderson couldn't handle it. Jordan gets there first and a turnover for the Jazz. Jordan lead feed. And Kukoc tracks it down a little off balance. And a foul. Howard Isley was going for the steal.
Yeah, he just grabbed the shirt. It was a pretty obvious foul there. So he gets called for it and will be a side out.
Now the second personal on Isley. That is the 3rd team foul on Utah. Kukoc guarded by Malone.
Well, he needs to take him. He
Tony.
settles for the long three-pointer line and gets it.
Tony Kukoc knocks it down for 3. And Kukoc has 13 points. Bulls extend their lead, 41-37. Lob upstairs, Anderson the catch, and the finish.
That time it was against Michael Jordan, an all-defensive player inside. So Anderson very, very tough in the middle.
41-39, Bulls. Jordan is battling with Anderson on the inside. Longley gets it to Michael Jordan for the bucket.
Boy, he held off Anderson real well with his body. Luke Longley sees over the defense, drops it in there.
Longley has some outstanding passing skills for a 7-footer. And the whistle blows. No, it doesn't. The Bulls come out. This is Harper.
Jordan has Stockton. They'll get the ball down to Michael Jordan now. There'll be a double team somewhere along the line.
Jordan to the outside. Kukoc is open. Shoots it for 3. Longley taps it over to Kukoc. Harper for Jordan. Extra feed. Kerr, a 3. He buries it. Steve Kerr from long distance.
Oh, that's a quick 6 points. A 3 by Kukoc, and now a 3 by Kerr.
And the Bulls have their largest lead at 7. Anderson has it rejected by Jordan. Fans here at the Delta Center wanted a foul called as Michael Jordan blocked it away. And a timeout taken. 2:25 left in the first half. 46-39, the Bulls lead it. Chicago looking like the defending champions more and more. As we send it back to the studio, Webo and John.
Yeah, at this stage, that sounds like a fair point from Ian there, doesn't it? There is, we mentioned earlier on, the energy level is up. And, I mean, great block from Jordan. They're on top, aren't they?
Chicago's playing very crisp basketball. It's interesting that Chicago's getting the shots that they want and knocking them down. And Utah's running the plays that they always run, the pick and rolls and the lob play on the post, but they're just not able to finish because Chicago's defense is
And
so
of course,
strong.
that's soul-destroying stuff, of course, isn't it? And we can see some good examples of the shooting here now, because it's the variety is there. I mean, we've got Luke Longley there with a little layup from, and it's neat passing, isn't it?
Yeah, Chicago's offense has always been the envy of the league, really, the triangle offense, and it does allow players of sometimes limited skill to get the ball in areas where they can be really effective.
And we'll see Luke again here off of an amazing pass out of nowhere. Just remind us again, for the benefit of us people who forget, triangle offense, how does that physically, literally work?
The triangle offense, it's actually very simple. It just sets up with 3 guys on one side and 2 guys on the other side, and usually with 2 posts. And everything is circulated around having a post guy like Luke Longley who can really make good passes while the rest of the team cuts around him. It sounds complicated, but it often ends up, as you see, with players wide open cutting to the basket.
The fundamental there, as you say, obviously, that's the point. It's guys out wide and plenty of space. Does having a Michael Jordan make a triangle offense work because of the fact that he's always going to have 2 guys on him at least?
Yeah, for sure. Having one person that attracts so much attention, and even Scottie Pippen, who also has to have a lot of attention on him too, means that the lesser players have to be able to finish, but on easier shots, often like we saw with Luke Longley with the easy dunk.
You know, game 1 was exciting, if not a little bit frenetic and edgy. This is quality stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, this game seems to be, showing a lot more execution, even from Utah. But Chicago's just so much better at running what they do well that it's making Utah look a little soft right now.
Yeah, well, it's as I'm saying there, the fact that we've actually got a quality game. And Ian and Mike, obviously, you're down there. You're watching this, the guys running up and down the court. Do you feel that the game actually has stepped up a gear from the first game? The first game we all enjoyed, very exciting stuff, but just for sheer quality, is this better?
Now, there is no doubt, Mark. First game was very competitive, an overtime game in an NBA championship series. You can't ask for much more than that. But to compare it to this game in terms of quality, no comparison whatsoever. Michael Jordan on a fadeaway, rebounded by Ostertag, who just got the dunk on the other end. Bulls lead by 5. Hornacek, long jumper for Jeff Hornacek.
All right, that has to help not only the Jazz, but Hornacek himself. No hesitation, a transition bucket. He comes around the screen and nails it.
These 2 teams have been scintillating from the field. Utah shooting 56%, the Bulls 54%. Kukoc on a pump fake, draws a crowd, and a foul called. It's on the floor. Karl Malone came out to greet him.
He did. Well, Kukoc has hit a couple shots, so you have to rush out back at him. There's Stockton with the beautiful feet to Ostertag for the dunk that happened earlier. And here's Hornacek coming around the screen. Watch the no hesitation. Kukoc there, doesn't matter. He buries it anyway.
Jeff Hornacek, one of the quickest releases in the NBA. That was a 2-pointer. Harper sets it up. Guarded by the much smaller Stockton. Bulls lead by 3. Winding down at the end of the second quarter. Pippen is fouled by Anderson as Scottie Pippen tried to turn the corner. And Pippen is going to the free throw line.
The 5 team fouls to Scottie Pippen again, trying to be aggressive. Take the ball to the rim. Don't settle for that perimeter shot. Gets the foul, so he shoots 2.
Just 1:19 remaining on the clock. The World Championships of Basketball will be coming up in Athens, Greece. It's starting July 29th, the best that the world has to offer. All coming up next month. Pippen will get another free throw. His team in front by 4. And Scottie Pippen has been very effective, an all-around game for him. 12 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists on 5 of 8 shooting. Fans trying to distract Pippen as he hits on both. Now 3 of 3 from the line. Bulls lead by 5. Hornacek. Offensive foul. Jeff Hornacek ran into Michael Jordan, and Joey Crawford, the official, called him for the charge.
Watch when he dribbles right. Watch his left hand. He pushes off right there. And Joey Crawford, you see, waves his hand saying no basket, goes the other way.
So the Bulls get it back with a minute to play in the first half. 48-43, Chicago. Jordan. Hornacek hit the deck, and a late whistle. Foul call.
Well, that's ridiculous. Jordan gets away with a charge. and then they strip him and they call a foul. This crowd is going crazy. Watch how Jordan sticks his backside and shoulder into Hornacek. He flops. He goes down. Then he'll get back up and makes the steal right there. They call that a foul. Oh, my goodness.
Another look at it.
That might have been not a charge, but that was a good steal by Hornacek.
Jordan benefits from the foul call and hits the first free throw. Jeff Hornacek now is on the bench after picking up his third personal. Jordan with 13 points. Make it 14 as he gets the roll on the second attempt. And now the Bulls lead by 7. 49 seconds left in the first half.
What the Jazz have to do here is go to the basket. They'll get the benefit of a call.
Malone driving in, the flip, no good. Malone following his own shot as he hits the deck. No whistle. Russell on a kick out. Stockton will reset with 15 seconds left in the 24.
Excuse me, I'm shocked that there wasn't a whistle there.
Stockton will take it in. Wraparound feed for Ostertag, who gets the layup and a foul.
Rick Longley got him too. And I thought Malone got fouled twice. There was no whistles. And finally, Longley fouls Ostertag, who made the bucket. Here's Malone coming right down the middle. Doesn't get any call there. He'll come back up. There's a little bump, maybe? No, maybe stripped clean, but Malone stayed with it. See Jerry Sloan in the background saying there should have been a foul.
Greg Ostertag getting that basket. And now at the free throw line, Luke Longley, his third personal foul. So Longley will go to the bench.
Boy, Jerry Sloan is beside himself, arguing with referee Danny Crawford. He cannot believe that Malone didn't get a foul to go to the line, and that Jordan did on the other side.
Ostertag. He has come off the bench to score 6 points. And you can tack on one more. It's a 4-point Bulls lead. Chicago can basically hold for one shot. Just a fraction of a second difference. Shot clock, the game clock.
Very important here for Utah to not let Chicago score. They need to take a good defensive stance here and take momentum into the locker room at halftime.
8 seconds left in the first half. Down to 6. Jordan with 4, with 3. Jordan the back hit, fadeaway jumper. Jordan couldn't get it to drop. And that'll do it. 1 half of play in the books here at the Delta Center. Game 2 of the 1998 NBA Finals. Tony Kukoc, 13 points for the Bulls. It's halftime. Chicago 50, the Jazz 46. Much more to come. Right now, we'll send it back to the studio. Mark and John.
And so it is a lead for the away team, which of course is the Bulls. Make sure you join us again after the break. We're going to bring you highlights from that first half, and great stuff it was as well. Also word from John, Ian and Mike, and we'll be offering you NBA love for Scottie Pippen. See you in a couple of minutes' time.
Giving Jordan support. Who's the cat that won't sell out? Show you what it's all about. Scottie Pippen, Chicago's silent assassin, whose lethal skills have helped to make the Bulls a 5-ring dynasty. A fearless warrior.
Look at Scottie Pippen dominate.
With the long arm defense.
Pip comes out of nowhere. Not here.
Like a thief at midnight. With 20-20-20 vision. The heart of a samurai. Shaolin master. He sliced the finest players down to size with his slashing moves to the hole. Pip's the most important brick in the house that Mike built.
Well, that's pretty much true.
He's the one player Jordan has the utmost respect for. Gives him love like a brother.
Scottie Pippen we're a tandem. It's hard to split us up. He means a lot to me when I go out and play on the basketball court.
Without Pippen's skill, will Michael reach his full potential? Become the b-ball god that he is today? It's psychological warfare when he's out on the court. So forget James Bond. There's only one secret agent worth watching. Number 33. With skills that seem heaven sent.
Scottie Pippen, so creative,
His name, Pippen. Scottie Pippen. Can you dig it?
And a quick chorus of Sharp, and welcome back. And Scoop Jackson there with Scottie Pippen, the silent assassin. Not too quiet tonight. 50-46. We have a Chicago lead at halftime in Game 2 in Salt Lake City, which is the home of the Utah Jazz. And John Amici alongside me. And John, you know all about Scottie because there he was in a game against the Chicago Bulls. Big moment for you. And what happens?
Well, since you wanted to mention it, my first
I'm
ever
dying
game...
to mention it. I'm glad I mentioned it.
First ever game was against Chicago. And Scottie Pippen blocked my first ever shot in the NBA. That was very nice.
Well, welcome to the terror, Don.
Yeah, that's what he was saying, I think.
But let me say, just to make sure that you don't have to say it because you're too humble, John was then, as a result of that, after that particular game, he was the highest scorer for Cleveland in that game as well. So,
well, thank you.
You weren't going to let that put you off. Tell us a bit about this Pippen guy, because, of course, he is an unsung hero. It has been said, you know, except Jordan sings his praises all the time, but what is it about his game that is so impressive?
He is a fantastic player. The first thing you have to note about him is that, as an athlete, he's on a par with Michael Jordan. He's longer. He's an incredible athlete. He's got quickness and jumping ability. And as well as that, he's got an ability to finish in traffic. He doesn't look like the strongest player in the world, but he has an ability to go between players the size of Karl Malone and still put the ball in the basket.
And we talked about in Game 1, when he is given a little bit more room to manoeuvre by Mike, he can be mightily impressive. And that's what we've seen in the game today. You know, he has attacked the basket and he's been encouraged to do so.
Yeah, I think perhaps Jordan and Pippen have almost reversed roles in this game. Jordan has taken the shots that he's been given and not really forced anything, whereas Pippen's been really relied upon to really assert himself, drive to the basket and get some easy shots for himself. So he's on track for the end of the game. I
and Mike, before the game started, made the observation that Jordan needed support, and in that first half, he's got it from other players beyond Scottie.
Yeah, support's going to be essential throughout this series, I think. We talked, I think, early at the beginning that Utah perhaps had the advantage because their bench was so strong. And I think Chicago has set out to prove that their bench, although perhaps not as bigger names, has really the ability to come up and hit big shots, with Burrell there hitting the big three, and also with Luke Longley getting these easy opportunities for dunks.
And although Luke Longley will start a game, it must, you know, we saw him make a crucial 2 in Game 1. These fellas must thrive on responsibility. You know, that they know that they're support players too, fundamentally Jordan, Pippen, and to a certain extent Rodman. But when they're given their room, they must want to shine. I mean, you know, you must want to get out there and show your stuff.
Yeah, I think any player who plays with Michael Jordan understands that he's not going to be in the spotlight very often. But at the same time, those same players are going to want to take advantage of any chance they have to show their own abilities.
Is that's what's impressed you in the first half of Chicago, the fact that we've seen a bit more of a team performance from them?
Certainly, I was expecting Utah to come out and have Karl Malone, for starters, be far more impressive than he was in Game 1, but then the bench to continue their great play. But instead, what we've seen is Scottie Pippen and Tony Kukoc, as well as the rest of the Bulls' periphery players, really coming on and playing a great game.
And it's not so much that we're necessarily seeing some marvellous scoring. You can't underestimate the way they're defending as well. And they're not a team that's actually built for really hard defence, are they, beyond Dennis Rodman?
No, that's true. Dennis Rodman is the name, really, as far as defence goes. But his ability in his game has really been tempered, I think, so far. We've seen that he's not really the player that he has been when he's not been injured. But the rest of the team is chipped together, and it's very important in basketball that each player can play their role completely, not just scoring, but defensively passing the ball to allow a team to really function at top level.
Is this what's disappointed about Utah? Because, of course, they are a team that can make you bow down. I mean, they will physically overwhelm you, and Karl Malone will lead that charge. But they just haven't looked like they've had that in them so far.
I mean, they're playing against a great team, but at the same time, all year, Utah's played good teams and made them look very defeatable. So it's got to be worrying for Utah to not be clicking at this stage so late in the second game of the series.
Absolutely. OK, well, the second half's coming up real soon, but before it does, could you do with $1 million? I could do with $1 million. Maynard Trudeau could do with $1 million, and he may just earn it now, because you're going to see now the $1 million shot.
Well, gentlemen, this should be a lot of fun. Maynard Trudeau, 74 years old, a resident of Boynton Beach, Florida, will have a chance of a lifetime. He could win up to $2 million. The AT&T $2 million shootout. The first 4 shots that Maynard will take will be worth $250,000 each. And the 5th shot, which is called the money ball, will be worth $1 million. Trudeau, accompanied by his wife, holding hands as he approaches what is one of the biggest moments in his life. 74 years old and $2 million on the line. He has to shoot 5 NBA regulation 3-pointers.
He can pick from any of the 5 spots out there, Ian. And from what I've heard, he'll try to shoot these shots underhanded.
That is the early scouting report on Trudeau, who has been practicing quite a bit.
Well, he takes it from straight on. That's the longest distance for a 3-point shot there, too. If he goes to the corners, you're about a foot closer. He decides to go out front.
Trudeau getting a hand from this capacity crowd. Maynard Trudeau. There's the first 3-pointer. It's good! The second one, no good. He's got $250 grand already. Another attempt is off the mark. The money ball for $1 million. Nearly got it to go, but Maynard Trudeau is walking out of the Delta Center with $250,000. Wow.
And look, he looks like he played a game. He's so happy, and his wife right there equally as happy. Nice job, Maynard.
Mike, in your assessment, after hitting the first one, did he let up a bit?
He let up. He banged it home from long range, underhand style. Nice job.
That's a great story. Maynard Trudeau, $250,000.
Now the red, white, and blue ball would have been worth $1 million.
This was it, the money ball. And it looked to be on the line. Just a little bit off to the left.
Drifts a little left, and look at him go. But he's still happy, I think, to take the $250,000.
With all eyes on Maynard Trudeau, he certainly came through with flying colors. $250,000 and a hug from his wife to boot. Not a bad night for Maynard Trudeau, getting a standing ovation from this Delta Center crowd. That's a nice moment. Now the check from AT&T. 74-year-old Maynard Trudeau.
$74 years old, you said?
74.
Good for him. He's got a lot of friends. He didn't waste any time. First ball went up and drops right in.
Mate.
Let's have a little chat back at the studio with Mark and John. What do you think of that, gentlemen?
John shoots like that all the time, he's telling me. He said that's how he made his name in Cleveland.
Well, that's my trademark, the underhand shot from the 3.
Marvellous work, isn't it? I'll tell you what as well, Ian and Mike, we get a good sense of it here, but you can't really put enough money on how influential this Delta Center crowd can be. This is a noisy place, isn't it?
You know, Mark and John, we obviously work in the NBA and do a lot of games over the course of the season. Now, I don't know what Mike will say, but I can tell you from a personal standpoint, this is by far the loudest arena in the NBA. The fans are into it. Yes, it's a large arena. It holds just under 20,000 fans, but it's rather condensed. It's rather intimate. As you see the seats, they slope up. They don't slope out, as you might see at the United Center.
Exactly right, Ian. And all the noise seems to stay in here. It just doesn't go anywhere, and I think the Utah Jazz, they feed off that too.
And this Jazz crowd has done an outstanding job in Game 2. Utah shot the ball well in the first half, but Chicago, very crisp, as John Amici mentioned earlier. They lead it at the end of the first half by the count of 50-46. Utah getting a lot of help from the bench, but Chicago has answered back with some bench help of their own. 4-point lead for the Bulls at halftime as we take a look at the halftime highlights here at the Delta Center. And we'll start in the first quarter. John Stockton.
Yeah, who else? Drives right down the middle, high off the glass with the drive and lays it up and in.
But Phil Jackson has to be thrilled with the play of Scottie Pippen early on.
See, what he did was he was aggressive. He took the ball to the rim, didn't settle for that perimeter shot, gets a layup of his own down that way.
Speaking of settling for perimeter shots, Malone did early, but then got back to the basics. Michael Jordan taking it to the rim. That's a vintage layup for Michael Jordan. And then there's Brian Russell, and he's really made a name for himself in these playoffs.
Yeah, he has. Played the most minutes of anybody the other night, hit a three, and then Pippen again not settling, driving right down the lane and slams it home.
Scottie Pippen and Brian Russell, I would compare them. Obviously, Pippen is the more complete player, but Russell has similar skills.
And he's younger, too, as Malone drives down the lane. Strong play there, and no one gets in his way, as you mentioned.
And then there's Tony Kukoc. And what a happen was for Kukoc. You talked about it at the top of the broadcast. The Bulls really needed him to step up.
Yeah, in games like this, you know Pippen and Jordan will be there. Now he becomes the X factor for Chicago, hitting shots like that, drives, hit a three-pointer before, too. Here he just goes in, and then that's that step-in move. That's a beautiful move with his right body going that way, and he just fits it in with the left.
He is quite innovative as he goes to the rim. Now the second quarter. Pippen for Longley. Just too easy for the Chicago Bulls on the inside. They're so adept at making that extra pass. Michael Jordan. Gotta love those close-ups. Jordan with the tongue wagging out, and Scott Burrell helping off the bench for the Bulls. Jordan on that crossover, and the no-look feed for Longley. That's pretty.
Longley has done well, too, feeding off the other players.
Kukoc. What a great decision that was to get it inside to Jordan.
And boy, the ball just stopped in Jordan's hands, too, those soft hands he has. His Kukoc will hit a three. Tries to back off Malone. He does. And he's wide open and buries it.
Tony Kukoc. And there's that extra feed once again. At halftime, 50-46. Bulls leading the Jazz. Second half coming up as we head back to the studio. Mark and John.
And so a 4-point lead for the Bulls in that first half. But John, lest we forget, 4 points ain't nothing, is it, in this kind of game? You know, how do you see this one progressing in the second half?
Well, I think it's going to be another tight game all the way down to the end. At the moment, you have to say Chicago has the edge because they're just playing with a lot more focus. They look like they're more comfortable out on the floor right now. And even though Malone, I think, is having a better game than he had last time, he's still not playing his A-class game.
And 1.5 games now, and you mentioned earlier on that it's often a game of runs in the NBA. Not happened in this, has it, so far in this series?
No, we certainly haven't seen anybody come out to a sizable lead, which, you know, given the magnitude of the game, is perhaps not surprising. But we need to see a spurt of some kind, I think, from Utah, just to, I think, instill some in themselves to the fact that they can win this game.
Yeah, well, it is that close, and it's crucial for both these teams. Utah do not want to lose one in their own place. And Chicago, if they get this one, they go back to 3 games on their own court. Let's see how it goes in the second half. That's coming up in just a moment's time. Chicago Bulls